Okay, yeah. So welcome to today's webinar, right? So the title for today's webinar is Why Software Engineering is a Game-Changing Career to Land a Remote Job. So uh we actually have a speaker that will be taking us on this path and is going to educate us how he started his career in software engineering and where he's currently at, and how his learning process has been, right? So he's going to take us on that journey for the next, let's say, the next 40 to 50 minutes, right? So my name is Abesiri, and I'm the host for this webinar, and I'm part of Tech Academic Solution as one of their admin staff. In Tech Academic Solution, we work to equip people with professional professional skills in terms of tech careers, right? So we offered different training across tech. CompTIA. Examples are CompTIA, cloud engineering, cybersecurity, DevOps, and software engineering. So on software engineering, we actually focus more on web development and the front end, right? So we have somebody in our midst today that we deem it fit to have this, I would say, this gathering to be able to educate people that are finding it difficult to start a career in software engineering, right? They are confused. Maybe you just finished your undergraduate and you want to start a career in software engineering. You don't know where to start. You don't know where to start. You're confused. You don't know where to start. You don't know the tools to start with. You don't know the right resources to use. So what we're doing here to be able to educate you on the process of how to start and where to end, right? How to start, how to equip yourself, what are the little things to use, to learn, and the rest of them, right? So it's going to be an insightful class. It's going to be an insightful webinar. So open your mind. You're going to learn, you're going to relearn, and you're going to learn new things, right? So without wasting much time, I have my colleague. Sorry, let me not skip this. So at the end of the class, so please be attentive, right, on this webinar. So at the end of the class, we're going to ask like two questions, and at the end of the questions, those that have the answers right, we're definitely going to give them a prize, right? There's a prize at the end of the class. So uh, open your mind, uh, open your mind to learn, jot down things, and when the question come, I hope you win something. So without wasting much time, I want to introduce our speaker today. His name is, I know those of us that are actually in on the WhatsApp group actually explained, talked about the the guest speaker for today. And the guest speaker of today is nobody else than James Olayinka. James Olayinka. He's a software developer in Transact, and he has he has close to 5 years experience in front end development. Right, he has developed enterprise application like IMS, corporate pay, and the Nigeria Army Pension Portal. Right, he's efficient in JavaScript, React, TypeScript, Vue.js, and Next.js. So he specialized in performance optimization, authentication, security, and scalable UI development, right? His experience as a cloud development instructor and freelancer in Node.js developer, highlight his commitment to mentorship and building high-performance software solutions. So you can see James, the speaker for today, has a very vast experience when it comes to software development, and that's why we deem it fit to come and discuss in our webinar today and educate us on how he started and his journey so far in the software development space. So without wasting much time, I'm going to give the floor to James or Layinka Ibrahim. Thank you. James, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Or yeah, good evening, everyone. Please confirm if you can hear my voice. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please hold on. Give me 1 minute, please. All right. Okay, so good evening once again. I would like to. Before we start, I would like to first and foremost appreciate Tech Academy for the opportunity to speak uh, on this webinar today. And again, I would also like to thank everyone that has made effort to join. You could have been anywhere this evening, so we actually thank you for coming. All right, so I actually have a couple of slides that I'm going to run us through, and we just start right away. Please, can you confirm if you can still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Just hold on. Okay, please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So our topic for today is why software engineering is a game-changing career to land a remote job. So I've been introduced, but I would still like to just give a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Ibrahim Olainka James. A software developer. I currently work with eTransat as a front-end engineer. So I basically specialize in React. React is a framework that was developed by Facebook, and I've been into software development since 2013. That was after my final year project. It was actually my final year project that actually introduced me into the world of uh, software development. And ever since then, I've been opportune to work as an instructor in New Rising International System Limited, which is like a training institute. And after that, I was fortunate enough to get a job in eTransat, and I've been in eTransat for like more than 5 years now. Right. So, that's just about myself. How I found my way into software. We'll be discussing that along the way. All right. So let's get right into the business of the day. All right. So, the global shift to remote work. Right. So in 2000 and hold on. All right. In a few years ago, working for a company around the globe looked like a dream job. We all desire to work with company in UK, Canada, and it was like a dream back then. So then something happened in 2019. So there was a pandemic outbreak, and that was why we call it COVID-19. And offices and work were closed down. So the businesses have to continue running. So then, that was when the remote work was embraced. So remote work, by definition, is just a situation where an employee find him or herself working from the comfort of their house. Without having to go to the uh, physical office. So because of that, right now we find a situation whereby I have a couple of friends that currently based in Lagos, and they are working for a company in Abuja. And I have some friends that are currently in Nigeria, and they are working for a firm in Canada. Some are working for a firm in Berlin. So that's the beauty of the global shift now. So there's a global culture now, which is the adoption of remote work. A couple of weeks ago, or weeks ago rather, Money Point, which is a fintech industry in Nigeria, was recruiting for roles, for different roles, and most of the roles were remote work. So they are basically saying that we don't have issue with you working from the comfort of your house, in as much as you can deliver the job done. So companies all over the world. So because of that, there is so much high demand for tech guy. I mean, in the local language, people just call them tech bros or tech sis. So there is so much high demand for software developer around the globe. So I'll move to the next slide now. So who is a software engineering or engineer? So a software engineer is a builder of the digital world. That's who a software engineer is. They turn ideas. So they are more like people that turn ideas into code, and they turn the code into a global solution. So an example is when you look at a Facebook, for example, Facebook, what is the solution? So there was a problem. So I mean, it was difficult to reconnect to people that you go to school, that you went to school with. I mean, maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So I mean, and then the invention of Facebook came into being, which was a medium to reconnect people to themselves. I mean, people that you've not seen for a long time. And that was a very massive product that was highly accepted way back then. That's an example of a software solution. And the kind of people that were engaged in building that kind of solution were the software guys. So a software engineer is also a digital problem solver, someone who designs, build, maintain the technology we use every day. So when you look at, you are trying to send money to someone, that technology was built by a software engineer. Even in the hospital nowadays, now we now have database system or database management system, whereby you can book an appointment with a doctor by just merely just inserting your name on the system, and then the system will schedule the time that you can come for your appointment. So that was meeting a problem. I mean, it was so difficult to get an appointment with doctor. So you can just book an appointment from the comfort of your house without actually having to go to the hospital. And then a day will be given to you that you can actually come to see the doctor. That's a solution to a problem. And that was actually an innovation that was brought. I mean, that was the solution that was developed by a software engineer. So they are basically people that provide solutions to, I mean, digital solution to problems all around us. All right. So why software engineer? So why do we need to go into software engineering? I mean, there are quite a number of jobs that you can actually go into. So why software engineer? Why not accounting? Why not medical doctor and co? So, I mean, every job has their own roles that they play in the society. So, but one of the benefits of being a software engineer is there is actually a very high demand in the industry for software engineer right now. And like currently, I have a permanent job, which is a transat, but I also work with three different uh, complain. Initially, they were four, but I have to I have to slow down my pace. I can't keep myself. So that's one of the beauty of software engineering. There's so much high demand for it, right? And then another benefit is the flexibility in the job. So at eTransat, we run an hybrid settings, which is like 2 days on, 3 days off. But most times, I always have a discussion with my supervisor, and I actually work most of the time from the comfort of my house. Like I've not been in the office for like 3 weeks now, and that saves me a lot of stress. I don't have to go through legal traffic. So that's another benefit. I mean, that's a very massive benefit of being a software engineer. And then the salary is competitive. Yeah. So I know of a friend that just finished and got a job in Wema Bank. And I mean, as a fresh graduate, when I finished as a fresh graduate, my first job was 80,000. My first job was 25,000 naira. That was my first job. And then when I got another job, I was being paid maybe 60,000 naira. Now imagine as a software engineer now, I mean, you finish from school and like that, you're already earning 300,000. It's not actually much, right? But as a new fresh graduate, 300,000 naira might actually be a very big deal. And I actually have a couple of friends in other industry that have been working for the past 5 years that their salary is not even up to that amount yet. So the beauty, another benefit is that the salary is actually much and the opportunity to grow is very, very massive. Right. So then there's also a global opportunity. Yeah. I mean, you can work anywhere. Anyway, one of the company I currently work for as a contract is actually based in Abuja. And I've not been to the office. Even the laptop that I have to use for my work was sent to me. So I mean that's another benefit. I mean they know it's not like I was working with I mean it was an agreement with them that I'm going to be working with you guys as a contractor. So that's another benefit of I mean why you might need to consider the software engineering. I mean the work-life balance is actually massive there. It doesn't mean that there's no stress. There's stress. You can actually go through a lot of stress also while trying to execute it. You're well trying to execute your task, but however, the benefit is so much, right? Is are we still together?
Yes, we
Yes.
are.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So, what are the career opportunities in software engineering? So, if you want to go into software, you have interest in being a software developer or software engineer. So, what? Okay, you can go. Yeah, please, you can answer your question.
Not really a question, Ibrahim, James. I think you're sharing your slide before now, right?
Okay, you can't see my slide again.
Oh, we can't.
Oh, sorry. I think I wasn't paying attention to it. Please, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, this was the slide before I come to here. So, why software engineering? High demand, flexible, and remote friendly, competitive salary and career growth, opportunity to work on global products. Yeah. So then we move to career opportunities in software engineering. So like I was saying, if you have interest in being a software engineer, so what are the career path that you want to go through? There are actually a very large number of careers that you can pursue in software engineering. So I mean the first on the list is front-end engineer, so or front-end developer. So me my speaking about myself, I'm actually a front-end engineer, even though I have a couple of knowledge in other area, which I will actually talk about. So you can be a front end developer. We have back end developer. So the front end developer are people that focus on or that focuses on the user interface. And I mean, I can have it here. The skills that is required is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React. I will still speak about that in more details. Then we have the backend developer. So the backend developer are more people that work on the server side, the logic, the engine. So look at a product like so I will use an example of a car. So what you see, the body, that is the front end. But what I mean, the engine of the car is the backend. So and then you have the mechanic, and I mean, so this can be the QA and every other, they can fall into other category. But basically, the front end is these are the guys that build the user interface. So when you visit your Facebook, for example, what you see is the work of the front end developer. So that's the person that brought the functionality whereby when you type comments, you submit, and then the comment shows that's it. But whereas, so when you type a comment, something actually undo the request because you're actually sending the request. So that's the work of a backend. Or when you send an email to someone, I mean, there must be something that routes your email to the proper destination. That's the work of the backend. Then there are a lot of other jobs that comes into place along the way. So then we have the full stack developer. So the full stack developer are more like people that have the experience both in front end and the back end. So we have a lot of them in startup company, and like I put it here, they're actually in high demand. Most startup companies, almost 80%. I actually don't have a statistical data to back that up anyway, but a large proportion of startup companies are always looking for full stack because I mean they are startup, so they might not actually have the financial power to employ the service of a front end. So they need someone that can actually manage the two processes together. Then we have the DevOps engineer. So the DevOps engineers, DevOps is basically development operation. So these are the guys that so when me as a front-end developer, I built a very fantastic user interface, and then the back-end developer was able to undo it properly. So, but what I'm doing is currently on my system. So how do I get it to the end user? How do I put it on a platform whereby when you type in on your browser www.somethinggo.com or facebook.com, and then you can see something that I've built on my system. That's the work of a DevOps engineer. So they ease that process of getting your work to the production. So the production in this instance is where the end user can see the application that was built. And then we have the mobile app developer. This is a very, very interesting career path to speak of. So most applications right now are into mobile app. In fact, we have a lot of people that request for mobile app nowadays. Yeah, every web application that you see, always at the end of the day, they always want to be the mobile version of the app. So these are the guys that build the mobile app that you have on your phone. I mean, the Android app, the iOS app. You have the cybersecurity engineer. So these guys basically focus on security. So I mean, if you look at banking system, you are keeping a large proportion of your life savings in a bank. How do you ensure that the system is secured? So these are the cybersecurity guys that try to look for any threats on the platform, and they try to run some tests. They have a couple of tools that they use to run their tests on the system to ensure that the system is safe against any cyber attack. Then you have the cloud engineer. So the cloud engineer basically focus on the infrastructure. I mean, most times you have server in a, I mean, most of the application are deployed on the server, and this server sometimes runs in our premises. Then we have some server that are not running, they are not running in on-prem. We have this server hosted on the cloud. They are put on the cloud. An example is your Google Drive. Your Google Drive is a cloud system. You don't have it on your system. So if I put my pictures on my Google Drive, I can log in with any system and I will access the same information because that information is put on the cloud. So these people that manages those kind of infrastructure are the cloud engineer. Then another fantastic career path in software engineering is QA. QA, virtually every company, any company that has front end, back end developer must have a QA or a test automation. So these are the guys because in development there's a saying that it doesn't make sense for you to develop your app and you're still the same person that is testing your app. So it's actually not a good way of releasing a fantastic product. So when you build a solution, someone else to test it, and that person doesn't have to be you, doesn't have to be the backend. There has to be a different entity entirely that is going to test the system and ensure that every necessary bug is actually captured. I remember when I was involved in a bulk payment solution in the company I currently work with. and I did I did an implementation. So when you are trying to send money to a user, so if the user put in, for example, 50 naira 25 kobo on the UI, you are saying 50 naira 25 kobo. But when that request is sent to the backend, what is actually saying is 50 naira. The 25 kobo is gone. And this was not dictated by me because I can see it on my front end. I can see that I'm sending the right request. But somehow there was a bug that was actually removing the 25 kobo. Now we didn't notice because most of the time we are doing a very large payment. You are sending money to over 500,000 people. So you are sending money to like 10. So the differences were not showing until a day we make a payment to almost 1,000 people. That was when we begin to realize that this money was supposed to be this amount. So, but then, yeah, we were able to get the service of a QA to test the solution. So that was the person that was actually was able to pick up. Now imagine we didn't have a QA to test and actually catch that kind of bug, and we release it to the end user. The next thing is for ESCC to knock on our door because that's actually a very, very big mistake. By the time you are removing 25 kobo for like 1 million, that's a lot of money. So then we have other areas, other upcoming areas, and these are actually the future of, software engineer. So we have the AI, artificial intelligence. The world has moved so fast to AI now. And even this slide I'm currently using, I kind of prepare within. This slide could have taken me more than 5 days to prepare with the animation and co. So, but PowerPoint now has designers, whereby if you just write if you just compose a raw text, the designer can suggest different design. That's an artificial intelligence. So, if you look at everywhere now, there's ChatGPT, there's DeepSeek, there's Copilot, GitHub Copilot, there is Microsoft Copilot. There is a lot in AI now. So AI is actually the future of software development. And then you have machine learning, they go on and on. So machine learning is actually an area whereby, have you ever wondered when you are searching for, you just go online and you search for bag. Maybe you are looking for a wonderful bag to buy. And then the next minute, you just realize that every site that you visit, they're just suggesting bag. So it's more like the bag is just following you everywhere you go. Or if you are a couple and you are just searching for, you are trying to get married and you're just searching for maybe a designer of kind of thing. And then you realize that when you go to your Instagram page, they will just be suggesting things that's because there's a machine learning that has actually that is so smart that has learned what you love. So they are just suggesting that to you. And then we have game developer, and then we have site reliability engineering. These are just another area of software engineering that you can actually go into. And there are other area that I skip, like solution architect. Solution architect is actually a very fantastic area in software development. So these are just normal architect. They look at the entire system, look at how the system connect together. So before you even start any enterprise product, most time you have to get a solution architect that actually has to look at the end to end, because you can start a project now and you then factor some things in. At the end of the day, you realize that it's difficult to go back, it's difficult to go forward because so many things were not considered. So you have a solution architect that I didn't include in this my slide. All right, so please can I get the feedback? I would like to get the feedback before I go on. So can you still hear me? Are we still together?
Yes, we can hear you, Yinka.
All right, wonderful. All right, so before I proceed forward, does anybody have any questions so far? Although I still have, do you have any, am I audible enough? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I've actually dropped. So there's a session for questions on the chat, right? So if you have any questions, drop the questions on the chat. So at the end of the discussion, definitely we're going to take your questions one after the other and get that answered.
All right, and that's fine. All right, so the next thing is the roles and the key responsibility of a software engineer. So what are the roles and what are the responsibilities of a software engineer? So, however, I mean, like I've said in my previous slide, software engineering is a whole lot, right? I've talked about the cloud engineering, the QA, I've talked about the front end, the back end. So, what are the roles? The first role I have on my list is software engineer write code, but not all software engineers write code. So, writing code there doesn't actually mean that you are doing the rewriting of the code, but you might just have an understanding of the code. So, right. So, for example, a QA that is testing your work must actually have a little understanding. You don't actually have to major on writing code, but you might need the little understanding to execute your job properly. Then you have system design and architecture. So these are another roles of software engineer. They design the entire system. So these actually falls under the table of the architect, the system architect or the solution architect that I mentioned earlier. Then you have testing and debugging, which falls under the role of QA. Then you have the collaboration. So this collaboration has to do with there are platforms that we use. So most of these platforms are put into workable environment by the DevOps engineer. So an example is like the GitHub. You must have heard about. I mean, I wanna believe that some of us have heard about GitHub. So GitHub is just a platform that helps you to manage your code version. So for example, if you are writing a if you are developing a software, you are writing a code on your system, and then something happened, something you didn't plan happened. Maybe your system got lost or your system broke down, but the code is already on your system. So that means if that system is not up, you've lost maybe 3 months of hard work. So there's a version control system that we use to collaborate together. And one of it is GitHub. So one of the key role is and responsibility is collaboration. How do we collaborate with each other on a single project? Then we have the technical documentation, which is actually also very, very important, especially when you are working in an enterprise environment. Because no matter where you are working, one day, you are going to leave that role. And if there's no proper documentation, it's going to be a very, very big problem. I know there are so many solutions that people have to rebuild, not because they actually have the intention of rebuilding it from the scratch again. It's just because the documentation there, nobody knows, nobody can provide any useful documentation. So anytime you're actually starting a solution, documentation plays a very, very important role in as a software engineer. So, and then we have the problem solving and analytical thinking. This one you can't even negotiate it. You have to actually be very, very good in your problem solving, right? So, I mean, if I ask you right now, if I give you a book and I ask you to open page 250, so there are many ways that you can run through page 250. The first way is you can start from page one. You'll be flipping it one by one. That's one way. But that I'm very sure most of us are not going to go through that route. Another way is you are going to open a page, a random page. You can just open a random page. It can be page 50. And then you ask yourself, am I on page 25? If you're not on page 25 or page 250, rather, that means from page 1 to page 50, you don't need to be searching those again. You have to start your search from 50 and above. So you can open another page. I mean, that's how most of us open our book. That kind of thinking, you need it in software development because I mean that's to speak with algorithm aspect of software development. So, but most of the system that you are going to be building, you have to have that kind of level of thinking. Have you ever wondered when you search on Facebook and within a minute you search for Ibrahim Olanika and it's suggesting Ibrahim Olanika? Mind you, Facebook have over 1 billion users. So 1 billion users on the database. So how is it that when you search within a second, you're already getting a record because there is a critical thinking that has gone to the implementation of that searching functionality. So what I'm saying is you can actually I mean problem solving and critical thinking is a very, very key responsibility as a software engineer. Then you have the security implementation. Security cannot, I mean, security is the can I say is the hallmark of it all? Because if you build a solution that is not secure, nobody will use that solution again. So if you have any financial solution that anybody can just hack at any point in time, nobody's going to use that solution. So solution implementation, making sure the system is secure is also part of your role. Yeah. So then I will now move to where we actually kind of buttressed so much. So skill that makes you remote ready. So we are talking about software engineering. We are talking about how can we get a job as a software engineer while working remotely. So, but I would like to first start by saying getting a remote job is very, very tough. As at last year, 2024, I tried to get a remote job throughout last year because I was looking for it. I mean, everybody wants to earn in foreign currency. I, I can actually say that I applied for over 30 jobs last year and I got none. So imagine having a 30 emails that says some will even praise you in the start of the email, and at the end of the day, they will just serve you the breakfast. So that's to show you, even with my 5 years so 5 years experience, to get a remote job is very, very tough. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible. So I've actually worked as a remote. I've had a lot of jobs that I work as a remote before. I've done contract remote job. I've done full-time remote job. And so it's possible, but what I'm saying is not something that comes that easy. And that's why we need to skill up. So it doesn't just come by just mere wishes. So it comes by making so many effort. So I will start with the beginner skill that we need in software. I must have actually missed a slide. So okay, I will start with the beginner skill. So the beginner skill that we need is basically in HTML. We need to learn the basis of coding, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And my advice to most people that want to go into software, my own advice from my own perspective, I always tell people to start from HTML and CSS because HTML and CSS basically they deal with the user experience, so you can see what you are doing. So when I write something, I can see. So that can help you to get your momentum. I mean, when I remember the first time I started and I designed a box, just a box, and we animated that box. I can't deny the kind of joy that I have. Like, let me do this thing. Am I the one that did this? So he increased he aroused my interest more in trying to learn it. That's just ordinary card design with an animation. So I always advise people to start with HTML. It doesn't mean you can't start from a backend view, but I mean it's always good to just start from the design aspect of it. You can see what you are building, right? Then so then you also need to have the knowledge of your code editor. So you are going to be coding using a platform. So these are the tools that you use in to execute your job. And then you have to have the knowledge of version control. So these are what you need to begin. You just need to start with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then you need to have knowledge of GitHub. That's GitLab, GitHub. People, they are all in the same category, right? So GitHub is free. GitLab, most companies use GitLab. It doesn't come free, although we have the free version of it. But I mean, you don't have much functionality except you pay for it. So version control, like I said, is more of you is more of saving your work on the cloud so that you can always have access to it. And to also speak more on version control, I can remember me executing a job for a client at a point. And I mean, a main client will come to you, they will give you a template that they want you to design, a color. You change the color, you give it to the client back. 3 weeks ago, the client is telling you that they want you to change the color to color purple. and then you change the color to color purple. Then the client also have other stakeholder. Then they have a meeting with the stakeholder, and then they agree again that they don't want that color. So, and then maybe they even say they want the previous color. So how do you go back to previous color without having to tamper with your code? That's the benefit of version control. And version control is also good in such a way that when you are working on a single application, let's say e-commerce, we have 5 developers working on an e-commerce project. So how do we collaborate together so that I can work on feature A, another person can work on another feature, and then at the end of the day, we can synchronize all our works together. That's another benefit of a version control. So as a beginner, this is what you need to to start as a software developer. Then the intermediate level, this is so after the beginner stage, then you now get into the real business of the day. Now, to mention, the beginner stage will take you roughly a month if you are doing it every day, for maximum of, let's say, 3 months. So a month to 3 months. HTML, CSS can take you rough. CSS, you cannot get to a point where you finish learning CSS. Even with my 7 years experience in front-end development, I can only tell you that I know only 60% of CSS. CSS is massive. So it's not actually something you get to. But there are some CSS properties that you usually use. So those are the ones that you need to focus on. And as a matter of fact, you might not even need to use others. But what I'm just saying is that it's not something that you said. So say you can learn CSS forever, right? So I mean, I've seen someone that use CSS to design a full human being, a full animated human being. That is amazing. I can't actually do that. So that's how to show you the power of CSS. So 1 month to 2 to 3 months, you can get started with the beginner stage. Then you move to the advanced, the intermediate level. The intermediate level can take roughly 6 months, right? 6 months, 1 year to get started. So during the intermediate level, that's when you get to know more about the framework, React framework. So you need the knowledge of JavaScript to venture into React, because React is a JavaScript framework. Then VJS is also a JavaScript framework. React, VJS, Angular, they all do the same thing. So you actually have to pick one. You can, maybe along the way, you can learn the tree. Like currently now, I actually do the tree. I do the tree. React is by Facebook, which is very, very in high demand. In Nigerian market, that is the only one I can advise you to go to, because most of the company, MoneyPoint, InterSwitch, you can name them. They focus on React framework. VJS is also another fantastic framework. VJS is just a framework that was developed by I can't remember his name. I think his name is something View, something that has to Lee or something like that. So he was a former employee of um of Google, and then he came up with his own idea. So he was able to blend so many technique from Google framework, which I will speak next. That is the Angular JS. So hello, someone wants to say something? Hello?
No, 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 no. No, you go.
Okay. Okay. So VJS is also another fantastic framework that you might actually need to learn when you start your journey as a front-end engineer. So a company that I know that uses VJS in the Nigerian market is Flutterwave. I could have gotten a job in Flutterwave at the point when I was looking, but I wasn't a VJS developer. Even though they wanted me to come into the system, but I don't want to come into a system where I can't actually enforce my skills. So I mean, if you are looking for a job in Flutter Waves, you might actually need to consider learning VJS in that regard. But in overall, React is actually in more demand. In my company, we use React. In InterSwitch, they use React. Most jobs that I do are always requesting for React as a framework. Then Angular is another framework that was developed by Google. So in fact, that's what Google used to build their interface. So anytime you see your Gmail, any Google application, YouTube, because I mean YouTube, Google are the owner of YouTube. YouTube applications are designed with Angular. Then when you look at your Gmail, Google Drive, every Google application uses Angular to for their design. So I mean React is Facebook. So when you look at Facebook itself, it's built by React. In fact, that was what brought about the innovation of React. It was when they needed to improve their UI. Initially, when Facebook started, they started with PHP and MySQL. So yeah, I mean, for those that started using Facebook, the UI was very, very whack. So, and then along the line, they came up with an idea that then they started using React. And then from then, I mean, so when they bought Instagram, they were also into the Instagram is also WhatsApp. I mean, you must have asked yourself when you look at most WhatsApp interface nowadays, fantastic UI. It's as if they release any new version almost every week. So they use React framework. So then again, so if you want to venture into the backend aspect of it, I mean, you have to start thinking, do you want to go as a Java developer or do you want to be a .NET? .NET is Microsoft, .NET Microsoft. So then PHP, Node.js. So, but if you're already if you're already into front end, JavaScript, so Node.js might actually be a very fantastic option because Node.js is a framework of JavaScript. So it's the back end of JavaScript. So JavaScript is the language, React is the front end, Node.js is for the back end. So, but then you can also pick options of Python. Python is, I mean, regardless of any programming language that you are learning nowadays, Python is the future. I'm not an experienced Python developer, but Python is actually a programming language that I mean anybody should consider. And why is that? It's used for machine learning, it's used for AI, it's anything, data analysis, everything you can think about. Python can be used for virtually everything. So, and then you have Java. Java is being used in most of the uh, enterprise company in Nigeria. eTransat, InterSwitch, MoneyPoint, Flutterwave, just name them. They all kind of use Java. Cyberspace, a company in Nigeria uses ASP. They use .NET majorly. That's their core language. So in eTransat currently, we are trying to adopt also .NET. So we have some kind of .NET developer, and we also have some Node.js developer. But majorly, we specialize in Java as at then. So I've also written them down here. So each of these, Node.js is the language. Node.js is built with JavaScript. They also have their own framework. So then we have Express.js, Django, Laravel. So then you have database management, you have API integration, you have to focus on authentication and security. So these are for the mid-level guys. So after learning the beginner stage, the intermediate level, the final thing for your intermediate level is to cap it up with a project. You have to cap it up with a project because at the end of the day, you are learning all these things to get a lucrative job. And every job interview is going to ask you for a work experience. So even if you don't have somewhere you are working currently, but if you can showcase a solution, so I've listed there e-commerce, you can build an e-commerce site, you can build a personal blogging site, you can build an hospital management system. I mean, some of the solutions you can actually get them on YouTube. You can get them on YouTube to give you an edge on how you can start about them. So once you are done with this intermediate level, then you have the advanced stage. So the advanced stage focuses more on system design. So understanding of system design, system architecture. So system design is more or less of how every system are connected together. So how are the system connected together? That's basically what system design is all about. Then you have data structure and algorithm. So I was giving an example of when you are given a book to open. So that's the data structure because for someone, so if I ask you to open page 50, for someone that start from page 1, page 2, page 3, that would take a lot of time. But someone that open page 25 first and then ask himself, okay, I'm not in page 50. That means you are no longer going to be searching from page 1 to 25. You are now going to base your search from 25 and above. So you open another page again, maybe page 40. You ask yourself, am I in page 50? No. That means from page 40 down, you are not. So that's actually a concept in software development. So, and that concept falls under data structure and algorithm. So is basically how can you optimize your solution. So data structure help you and algorithm help you in that instance. So database optimization also, I mean, your database, imagine, so a lot of most of our information are stored in a database. So your Facebook information is stored in the database. Your banking information is stored in the database. So now imagine we have a solution and 100 people is trying to access the same resource that you are trying to make a request to the same solution at the same time. So that is going to put a lot of load on the system. So there is need to optimize your database. So a database, like an analogy, just like a dad that have like 30 siblings or 30 children. Now imagine the 30 children asking their father the same thing at the same time. The father is going to get confused because you can't actually respond to 30 children at the same time. So that means the processing speed is going to be low, and that is the need for data optimization. Performance optimization also fall under the same category. And then you now start focusing on testing and debugging. So testing how to do it. A lot of complaints nowadays. So they have an automation system that runs their system at an interval. So we kind of have it in a transact also. So every weekend we have an automation system that we have put in place that runs a query or runs a check on our system. So the benefit of this automation system is that you can see a default ahead of time, even before a user gets to that point. So maybe there is a bug on a user on maybe there's a table that shows list of user, and then when you are trying to add a new user, there's a bug. Now, a user can only know there's a bug when the user is interacting with that system. I mean, when the user is trying to create a new user, that's when the user will know that I'm trying to create a button, is not creating. But what if you can put in a system, an automation system whereby it can run a check maybe during the weekend, and then it can alert you that create user is failing. So even before people come on Monday and start interacting with the system, you have already gotten a feedback that there is an issue on that section of that solution. So you can even so that's why when you look at a lot of solutions, you realize that they never had a downtime. They never had a downtime does not mean their system did not break down. It just means that their system, they have an automation check in place. So that help them to envisage or to visualize a system ahead of a bug ahead of time. Then we have the DevOps engineer. So this DevOps engineer and the cloud distribution. So I'm going to spend some time they work hand in hand. So the DevOps engineer, they put in a solution. So when you look at Netflix, for example, Netflix, well, I mean, most of us are Netflix. Netflix, a single application is running in like 5 instances. So 5 instances in software terminology, we call it container. So it's like you have a duplicate of the same thing in 5 times. So I mean, Netflix run more than, so I mean, they run more than maybe 20 containers. So why Netflix can never go down, or why you can never see Netflix go down, is not like Netflix application itself can't go down or there can't be a breakdown in the solution. Is because they have different container, different instances of that solution that is running. So when one instances break down, you have like 20 other instances. So if a user is sending a request, so you are trying to watch a video, you send a request to Netflix. So if the container one is supposed to be the one that handle your request, but that container one, I mean, that one just see a container as an application on Netflix. So Netflix had like the same Netflix is running 20 times. So when one of these break down, the request is channeled to other. So the DevOps engineer, the cloud distribution engineer, they set up something they call load balancing. So load balancing is more like a technique that channel the request to different container. So like I said, you have, so Facebook, for example, Facebook does not run a container. Say Facebook does not have one system. Facebook is running in multiple containers. So so which means when I'm accessing Facebook, It might not, we are accessing the same Facebook. Me and you might be accessing the same Facebook, but it's being served with different container. So the same Facebook application, but what is serving our request is different, right? It's like you duplicating yourself in three different forms. So when you get to the advanced stage, that is where you focus on. You focus on containerizing and on that's you focus on containerizing the solution. So that becomes your focus, and then you specialize. Then the last aspect is machine learning. So these are an advanced technique that you might need to also focus on when you get to the last bit. So I started from the beginner to the intermediate and then to the advanced stage. Right. So how does all these guys connect together? So I'm going to show a kind of like a short within the 5 minutes. Please, how much time do I have left?
I think we have actually spent 1 hour currently, so I think we can do extra 10 minutes. So you have 10 minutes left, please.
Okay, let me just quickly run in the next 5 minutes. So I'll just do a short demo. Please hold on. I thought I have everything set up already before. All right, so in software development, so how does the process start? The process starts from a Figma design. So, like I've mentioned all the people that are engaged, all the people that are involved in software development. I've mentioned front-end developer, back-end developer, QA, cybersecurity. I've mentioned the DevOps. I mentioned a quite number of, but but software development can also be categorized into the technical aspect of it and the not technical aspect of it. So, but when we are speaking about software development or software engineer, we most of the time talk about the technical guy. But a software engineer that is writing code today might tomorrow be a product manager, someone that does not write code. But that doesn't mean the person is no longer a software engineer. So the fact that I am no longer writing code, I am more into product management or project management now, it doesn't make me less of a software engineer. So, right, why we can actually say software engineer are people that write code that does the technical aspect. There's still non-technical aspect of it. So there are people that are also involved with the non-technical aspect of it. And these people can also be a software engineer. And like we are discussing about software engineering and ability to get a remote work. So, and I'm trying to wrap it up with just a live demo of what you need to also put in mind while you are trying to go into that journey. So every solution starts with a product design. So there has to be a product design. So before you as a front end starts converting the idea into what the user can see, there has to be a design. So you have to capture, it's like you want to build a house. There has to be a blueprint of the house. So this is an example of a product design. So you have this. So you can see this is a design. This is a design of a solution that was worked on, right? So when you look at it, so someone will get this design out, then the front end guy will now pick up this design. That's the front end engineer. We pick up this design and then convert this same design that you are looking at.
Yinka, we can see the time you're sharing. I think you're
You
sharing
can't
it. I
see.
mean, maybe
Oh,
no, we
sorry.
just, maybe you're
Yeah,
sharing
I
it
think
another screen.
yeah, I'm sharing another screen. Share it again. All right, please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I was saying, so the product design will bring out this design, which will actually be in form of pictures. And remember, like I said, some companies want you to have the knowledge of this product design, but I mean, most company does not. Like I know Figma, I can do Figma, but I mean, it's not something you have to major in when you start your journey. You just that this another thing that you just need to put into consideration that you need to be aware of, right? I didn't put it into my presentation because they are not part of the technical bit. So the product design will bring out this. So you have an idea, you convert it to pictorial diagrams. This is the product design. And then the front end engineer will now come and convert it into a solution that the user can interact. So, I mean, if anybody visit this, you'll be able to access this UI. So this is the login page that was given as a design. You can see it's looking alike. So your job as a front-end engineer is to, hold on please, is to convert this pictorial diagram that a product design is giving you, then you convert it to a UI that, I mean, the end user can see. Now, when I click submit, I'm able to log into the system. That's because there's a backend functionality that take the request and able to channel it to the right source. So that's now the work of the backend guy. So the backend engineer, hold on for a minute. So the backend engineer will now build, this is what you call API. So the same thing that I'm doing here, I put in my email, I put in my password. So when I click submit, how does the system know that it's supposed to take me? So that's the job of the backend engineer. So this is what the backend engineer would build. So when I'm talking about the engine, this is actually what is controlling it. So what is happening at the back is the user putting the email and the user putting the password. And then when I hit submit, right, then I'm supposed to get, I think there's something wrong. Yeah, there's something wrong with, let me see. I'll just run it up very soon. So when I click submit now, you can see, so this is the job of the backend guys. So the backend guys are to build all this backend. This is what you are communicating with. So, I mean, an end user does not understand this. There's no way user, if I show you this, you don't understand. There's no way you can understand this. But when I convert the same thing to a UI that the user can see, so that's the job of a backend engineer. So the backend engineer try to, build the backend of the solution, try to find a way to communicate the front end. And then once that is done, then the DevOps guys will now set up a platform whereby I can put, like this guy now is on netlify.app. I mean, the company you are working with, we have their own place they want to host it. So that when you ask the user to go to maybe nigeria.com or so that's the job of a DevOps engineer. Then the security guy will now like, okay, we don't want this solution to be so that hacker can come into our system and tamper with our data. Then the security guy will try to use their own tools to run the test on both the back end and the front end. And then the QA guys are the one that will use this Postman. So this platform I'm using is called Postman. So this is what the QA guy we use to run their test. So the QA guy will do something like, so if I put 5 here, so the password is supposed to be 5. So what happens if I put a wrong password? So, I mean, you are going to get a response and invalid. So the QA guy is going to check the response and see that it conforms with what the system architect has designed, because there is a proper response that has been configured that this is the kind of response that we want. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, right? But that's just uh, the short demo that we just run us through. So when we get to, when we actually, if you are, by the time you started the journey, yeah, I want to believe that there's so much more that we can share along the way. So I really want to believe that we've actually gained one or two things in this short webinar. So thank you so much. So you can take over from me.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Inka. I must say that you have done a lot, right? You have been able to cover a lot, and if even though if most of the things are way technical, right? I know I'm speaking the mind of so many. Even if the things are way technical, but I think when you watch this video again, you should be able to gain one or two. So those of you that have been asking questions about how you can rewatch the video. So at the end of the class, we're going to post this video on our platform, and the link will be shared with you guys. If you're part of the webinar group, definitely the link will be shared with you, and you can actually watch the video again to get more insights and the rest of it. So I want to appreciate you all. So this is the time for questions. Do we have any question? Do anybody have? Okay, I think we have some questions on the chat. Let me just take it out. So Chidima has been very impressive. Chidima Chidima was asking, so you said 3 months of hard work. Does it mean that writing or creating code take that long?
Yeah, it takes a lot. So I mean, it depends on our background, right? So take for example, I finished from University of Ilorin and I did electrical electronic engineering. So during my school days, I did like 4 programming courses. I did QBasic, and to be frank, the highest I had in my school days was E8. That was the highest I had in software development. So so I'm just putting that fact out to tell you that I didn't start as a guru. In fact, I never ever thought I would be a software developer because I hate software development. And that's why, I mean, it's reflecting my grade. That's the highest I had, E8. So, I mean, D7 was the highest I had. Most of my courses were E8, E8, and that D7 was in QBasic. QBasic is the lowest of programming language. So it depends on where you are coming from. So if you already have a proud knowledge of it, it shouldn't take you that long. But if you don't, I have friends that did botany, I have friends that did zoology. So it's likely going to take you that long to get into the technical because there has to be a shift in your thinking first to even begin to grab. And that's why I always advise that it's good to start with something you can see, which is the HTML, CSS, because that one you can see it, you can feel it. Because if you start with the backend, you can't see their backend is more of logic, like I showed in the last slide, in the last live demo, Postman. That's the backend. You are just doing something. You can't really see what you are doing. But I mean the front end. So that just to answer the question, yeah, it can actually take more than 3 months, but on averagely, it's 3 months. And I'm speaking based on my previous experience as an instructor in New Rising. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you very much, Chinka. So we're just going to take one question per one person, right? Okay, the next question was, please will be able to get the recorded session for the. Okay, yes. So the recorded session will be shared to you guys. If you're part of the webinar group, it will be shared to you guys from the group so that you can actually watch it at the end of the class, right? Then we have another question. Say, please, what is the difference between software development, software engineer, and full stack developer?
Okay, I mean, that's quite an interesting question anyway. So to start with, software development and software engineer are kind of like the same thing, but with a very, very minor variance, right? So, and the difference is basically in the system design, right? So, software development or a software developer, they focus more on the programming, on the core, on the stack, PHP, Java. That's what they focus more. But software engineer, they take a little step ahead. That's on the system design, right? So system design has to do with flowchart, algorithm. How does these? So I mean, that's just a little difference between the two. So most times in the industry, we use the naming interchangeably. So you might be hearing me saying I'm a front-end engineer. Tomorrow you might be hearing me say I'm a software developer. So it's not as if they are actually that different. It's basically just in the design aspect of it that has to do more of the engineering. You know, when you are talking about engineering, you have to have a design to it. Engineering, you want to build a house, there has to be a design to it. So, right. So, development is just about the core of the work, right? So, the full stack is just someone that does both front end and back end. However, in a standard organization, you can't be two. Industry, for example, is either you are a React developer or you are a Java developer. You, though you can have the knowledge of the two, but you have to focus on one, right? Personally, I do both front end and back end, but when I'm looking for a job, I just prefer to just look for a job at the front. So full stack is more of someone that does the two, right? That's just a full stack. You do both back end. You are the same person that is writing the back end. You are the same person that is writing the front end. That's a full stack. So, and like I mentioned in the presentation, most startup companies always look out for the full stack.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Yinka,
Hello, good
for that
evening.
question. I'm just going to take, I'm just, because of time, right? I know you guys are enjoying the class, so questions are actually coming up. So I'm just going to take two more questions, then we do a closing remark, then we end the class, the
Please,
webinar for today. Yeah.
can I ask a question?
Who is speaking, please? Sorry.
Okay, this is Rasaki Isiaka Desmond.
Okay, Desmond. Okay, yeah, Desmond, you can go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah, actually, I joined the class very late, like 15 minutes ago. So my question is
Okay.
this: what's the difference between cyber security and software engineer? Are they the same thing?
I think let me answer that, right? Let me
Okay.
answer that. So cybersecurity, software engineering, like from the onset of this class, software engineer, you develop a reward scenario, right? That can be tackled with automations or softwares, right? Let's use example Facebook. Facebook is a process whereby you want to communicate with your fellow friends, right? You want to be able to reach out to them at a given time. You want to be able to reach out to them, discuss with them, know how their life is going, get an update, watch their videos, their posts, and the rest of them, right? If you notice very well, before the existence of Facebook, how do people normally communicate? Letters. I'll write a letter to you to check on you. Then later we get to you in like 2 months' time or 3 months' time. And after 3 months' time, you write your reply, you post it again. How it gets to me 2 months or 3 months' time, right? So there was no platform, right, to be able to see where people can socialize or have a quick response to informations or try to check up on their friends and everybody or have a virtual gathering, right? So a software was developed for that to counter that problem, which was Facebook, right? Facebook were able to counter that, right? So that is what solving a real life problem using what development processes like different languages, Java, PHP, C++, C Sharp, MySQL database, and the rest of them, right? Then cloud cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the aspect of securing systems, right? Securing system across board or securing system in an organization, securing a network in an organization. That means if I have an organization that is running and I have my software being built and everything being built, remember, hackers can come in, right, to hacking my softwares. How can I keep them? How can I keep my environment secure, right? Is to build up a security mechanism. And the aspect of building that security mechanism is what we call cybersecurity. You understand? It's what we call cybersecurity. So cybersecurity cuts across different platforms. You can be a SOC 2 analyst. You can be an ethical hacker. You can be a penetrating tester. You can be a penetrating tester. etc. Cybersecurity. So each of these particular different segments of tech have their own branching areas. Like for software engineering, what Inka talked about, you can branch into front end. You can branch into back end. You can branch into full stack. You can branch into DevOps, right? So it is with cybersecurity. For cybersecurity, you can branch into SOC 2 analysts. You can branch into you can branch into software analyst, you can branch into penetrating tester, you can branch into ethical hacker, right? It depends on the areas you really want to jump into in those different areas. Then in aspect of answering this question, I can see a question on the group that also asks about cloud computing, how the differences between these areas. So cloud computing is you building an infrastructure that can host the application that you are running. Example, I built Yinka is the software developer, right? He has developed a software, right? After developing the software, Yinka can only develop a software. Now, after developing the software, he tested it in his laptop. It's running, right? It's running, but the company, am I going to use the software on Yinka's laptop? No, I'm going to deploy the software to somewhere whereby users can be able to access it, right? Good. So now, how can users access that software? I need to build an infrastructure, right? I need to build an infrastructure whereby I can deploy that software into and users can access it. Now, mind you, there are two different areas that you can actually deploy the software. One, you can deploy it in an on-premise area, in an on-premise environment. On-premise environment is the traditional way we normally use before now, right? We normally use before now. You have a building, you have servers, you have computers, mainframe, big processors, and the rest of them, and you deploy your software there. Now you're managing it yourself. Nobody's helping you to manage it. The security of that, the environment, how cool the environment is on you. How secure the environment is on you. You understand? That's an on-premise environment. Now, they now have some specific set of people that said, okay, why can't we take this body from this organization and host this environment by ourselves and allow them just to come deploy the application to us, and we manage access to the application and the rest of them. So that's what brought the birth of cloud computing. Cloud computing is the process of managing cloud resources or compute resources in the cloud. When I mean in the cloud, I do not mean the cloud that is up, that we are seeing ourselves, it's not that one. It's not that one. The cloud is actually in a particular data center that is hosted by some specific tech giants. It's just for you to bring your application and host it there. Example of cloud provider of such, we have Microsoft, which is called Azure. We have Google, which is called GCP, and we have AWS, which is called Amazon, right? Those are the different key cloud providers currently. These are the key cloud providers currently. So you can see that now software engineering is developing the software that you want to use. Security is to make sure that the environment you have developed, right, is secured, right? People cannot hack it. Penetrating, because if you build a software, especially payment platform, those people like Yinka that are working in payment platform, they see a lot of shit, especially in payment platform. Every day you must see people trying to hack your environment. You understand? But how can you build resistance to the environment? That's where cybersecurity comes into play, right? Now, after securing the environment and after Yinka has built the application, where are we going to host the application? We want to host it in an infrastructure. Now, who manages the infrastructure? The cloud engineers. So you understand? So these are three different key areas when it comes towards the tech space, right? That's what I was saying. These are different key areas you work on when it comes to the tech space. So hope I've been able to answer your question, Desmond.
Yes.
All right.
Now I understand. But
Yeah.
excuse me, but it seems I prefer that cybersecurity though. I think are you guys going to train us on that? Are you giving a class
Okay.
on that or?
So we like this. We have training already ongoing. We have classes already ongoing. Like we have the class for CompTIA, we have class for cloud engineering, we have class for DevOps currently, and we have class for cybersecurity currently ongoing, right? So we're trying to build up a class for software engineers, right? So by the end of July, by the end of July, we're supposed to be rounding up the class for cybersecurity. So by August, we should be starting another class for cybersecurity, right? So if you're showing interest to register for that cybersecurity, you can chat us up. I think our link is on the chat, right? You can see our social media link. Just reach out to us on social media. We'll definitely take it up from there. So for those classes, okay?
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate.
All right, thank you, Desmond. So, thank you for the question. I think we have been able to answer most of the questions that have been asked. So, in regards to what Yinka have talked about, we is majorly software development, right? Web development, front end. So, your training in we're currently undergoing we are actually a training institute, right, that trains individuals, right? You can see our website on the chart. You can actually go to our website and just try to check one or two and see the courses that you deem fit that you can start up with. But for this class, we're trying to just want to start up with people that are interested in software engineer that does not know how to start. We can coach you from where you're starting and where you actually see yourself in the next few months, right? So we're starting the class with the fundamental knowledge of software engineer, right? So web development in terms of PHP, in terms of HTML, CSS, PHP, React, and the rest of them. So you're going to learn the fundamentals of all these things in the next training that is coming up on the 20th. I think on the 27th of this month, if I'm not mistaken, Judith. On the 27th of this month, we're going to start our training on those areas. So if you're interested, you're part of the WhatsApp group already, reach out to the admin on the WhatsApp group, and definitely she will definitely take it from there. So at the course of this training, at the course of this webinar, I said something that we're going to actually give out. We're going to actually give out a scholarship, right? We're actually going to give out a scholarship for people, for just one person, right? And it's going to be the fastest finger. And the question is just one question. The first person that answers the question gets the scholarship, right? So if you get a scholarship, we'll send you an email of what, okay, on the 28th. Thank you, Judith. We'll send you we'll reach out to you via email, right? And send you the process of redeeming your scholarship on Tech Academic Solution. So the question is right now, which tools, please put your ears down. Gabriel, you're really dropping your email. Which tool is definitely used to manage? I think I wrote that question down. Come, let me see. Yes. Sorry. What is the function of using GitHub? Fastest answer. What's the function of using GitHub? Drop your message. Drop it as a message. What is the function of using GitHub? Drop it as a message. The fastest person. I'm not going to say any word. Drop it as a message, please. Okay. It's actually okay. I was to get more message. I think the first person, we already know the first person already, right? So GitHub is actually used for version control, right? And the winner is Chidima. Chidima, congratulations. So Chidima, please drop your email address. My personnel will definitely reach out to you. And yeah, you're right. Chidima, you're right. Adeyemi, you're right. Favor, you're right. So, Judith, please take note of Chidima's email address, right? And we're going to reach out to her. Adeyemi, is your hand out for the answering of the question, or you want to say something, or you have a question to ask?
No, I actually wanted to talk, but you told us to drop the message. That's why. Let me drop it down.
Okay. Okay, no problem. So you're going to Chidima, someone is going to reach out to you and discuss further, right? So like what we said, our class is starting about on the 28th 28th of this month, right? On the 28th of this month, we're starting the software engineering class. And the course curriculum is actually on the website. So if you go to our website, techacademicsolution.com, you navigate down to courses, you see software engineering, click on software engineering. Then you see, let me come. Click on software engineering. Then you see front-end development training, right? So the amount of the training is 150,000 naira. So the training is going to last for 3 months, right? It's 150,000 naira. But since you attended those in the WhatsApp group, right, currently have a discount, a 10% discount of that training, of this training. So if you're coming from the WhatsApp group that you're currently part of, you have a 10% discount. That means you'll be paying 135,000 naira for the training. Now, the payment platform is, you'll make it a little bit soft. So, it's not something you can pay once. If you can pay once, no problem. But if you can pay twice, still no problem. So is that you pay once payment or twice payment, right? We open for that. And the classes is starting up on the 28th of this month. Registration is currently ongoing. And the trainer of this class still remains your presenter, which is Olayinka Ibrahim, right? Is going to take you on this journey right from your starting point, right? Your starting point as a software developer using learning the fundamental from the fundamental end down to when you become an expert in this whole field, right? He has an experience. He has an experience in training before now. Like he has trained in a New Horizon before he got a job at Intransact, right? So definitely have an experience on how to actually pass out this education or these skills to people. I think this is not what you really want to miss, and I feel you should be part of this process, right? So I don't think I'm missing anything out again. So the training starts on the 28th of this month. On the 28th of this month, the price is 150,000. But since you're part of the WhatsApp group or part of the comment, for you to attend this webinar at all, you have a 10% discount, right? 10% discount from the price. That's 135,000, right? So take up this opportunity if you want to start a career in tech. If there are other parts you really want to go into and not software engineering, please reach out to us. We have mentors that can actually discuss with you. I think we have some mentors in this chat currently. We have the likes of Bethel. Better is the trainer for is the trainer we have for cloud computing. We have Theophilus. Theophilus is the trainer we have for CompTIA A plus classes. Then we also have other trainers. You can see Google them on LinkedIn, Baba Femi, we have Ajala, we have Tosin, and the rest of them, right? So there are really bunch of people that can actually guide you in your career path, right? So if you're confused or where to start up, you don't know if you should start up with software engineering or you need somewhere, you need a guide. Please, you want to speak to a mentor, please send a message to the admin number on our WhatsApp channel, and definitely we'll book a session with you. We'll book a free session with you to have a discussion on how to put you on the right path, right? So without no further question, I think we all enjoy the short webinar. I want to really appreciate Yinka for joining and for being part of this webinar. We have his LinkedIn profile on the chat currently. You can follow him up on LinkedIn. His name is Olayinka James Ibrahim. My name is Ogbeba Akbesiri. You can follow me up on LinkedIn. Then we have also the LinkedIn channel for the academic, which is Tech Academic Solution. It cut across both Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, right? So you can follow up on those platforms. So to get more knowledge or more insight of our next program that are coming up. So without no other questions, I want to appreciate everyone for joining. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank the mentors that joined, and also I want to thank Ibrahim for taking time to actually educate us on this class. So without wasting much time, I appreciate you, and I wish you the very best of luck in your tech career. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend. Bye.